Ammon Hardin is someone who lost his way for a while in the world of drugs and looked up to the wrong people, but he's a person his parents raised him to be. He's honest, he works hard.
He's always been a businessman, even when he was younger. I mean, he had a great yard business here in the neighborhood, and he sold cookies, and he's always been an entrepreneur.
It's unbelievable, how many people actually look up to Ammon in here. He's, people that have gone out and come back, we're just like, whoa, Ammon, they just love Ammon.
He's kind, and he's funny, and he's just, people are attracted to him.
He's a very giving, a very sharing kind of guy, and he really likes to help people.
That's what I'm fighting for, really. I am to a certain extent, but that's my daily fight, is to become the man that I want to be.
3 armed robberies and 2 break-ins at grocery stores in the area in just the last few weeks. That's kept police busy looking for suspects. This time, though, the suspect was caught, all because he left some footprints in the snow. When an alarm was triggered by a break-in through the ceiling of this grocery store yesterday, police scrambled looking for suspects.
They were able to find footprints that they backtracked from the roadway onto a shed up onto the roof of Allen's. And these prints in the snow had a very distinct tread pattern.
The footprints led police to this neighborhood, and witnesses were able to give police a description of the man and his car. Then last night, the suspect was pulled over, and inside the car driven by 18-year-old Ammon Hardin, police could see pill bottles from Allen's pharmacy. That led to a search warrant being served at Hardin's home. Police began to investigate Hardin for 3 armed robberies where a ski mask and gun were used. 2 happened last weekend at this convenience store in East Provo where the clerk refused to give any money, and then to this sandwich shop near Provo High School where the suspect got away with money. Police believe Hardin's arrest will put an end to the recent armed robberies in Provo.
I'd say the lowest of the low points in my life was right before I robbed. The first place I ever robbed was a gas station. It was a Maverick in Provo. But right before that, I just remember being so scared and so just shaking because I was so scared, and I was high on some drugs.
He was seminary class president. He was the priest, I don't know what they call him, that worked with the bishop. All the good outward things were in place.
He simply got tired of being good and wanted to see what it was like to have the fun that his, quote, bad friends, the friends that were doing bad things, were doing, to see if it really was fun.
He had a set of good friends and he had a set of bad friends, meaning different standards.
And so that's when the dishonesty started happening, is when he was doing things that he wasn't proud of, that he knew that we would not approve of.
Our older son got in trouble multiple times, and then Ammon started having problems.
I was living with my brother, doing these things every day, smoking and drinking, which itself, that habit, that lifestyle, and stealing a lot, stealing all our food, all my clothes, and just thinking about this stuff 24/7, thinking about how to make money the easy way.
The crimes that he committed before he got in here obviously stated the fact that he was very hooked on them, and he was willing to do whatever he needed to do to get those drugs again.
We were sitting in a BYU family home evening group in our living room here, and a ward member, called me on the telephone and told me my son was on television and that he had been arrested.
When I came into booking, they took my shoes for evidence, so I came in without any shoes, wet feet. It was snowing outside. And I just snorted some pills before I got pulled over, so I was high. I just remember being really tired in booking and just wishing they'd put me into wherever they'd take me so I could go to sleep.
The very first visit after he got arrested, if I remember correctly, it was very discouraging. We went and saw him. I think his thinking was, reading his letters, that he would try harder next time not to be caught.
I guess the first couple of weeks, I kept having these dreams that I wasn't in jail. So when I woke up, every time it was like I got put back in jail. I just feel that that crushing disappointment.
My wife and I had been in the jail before with our Ammon's next older brother. And it was just, I don't know, devastating isn't quite the right word, but it was very discouraging to be walking down that long hallway again. And to be going back to that same place where we had been with one of our other sons was very difficult.
I had just gotten moved over from intake. I was in intake for about a week, and I got moved over to Sundance, which is 2-man cells. The cells are about 5 feet by 5 feet, I'd say, or maybe 8 feet by 5 feet. So I just pace back and forth, you know, stay up till 4 in the morning, get up at 6, go back to sleep, just really weird sleep schedules. Anyways, after a few days, they have a little bookshelf. There's about 2 shelves with probably about 200 books on it. And I went out to try and find something to read, and the selection really wasn't that great. Most of it was 80-year-old romance novels, and that didn't really interest me, but they had a whole row of Book of Mormons. That was like one of the entire shelves. You know, you can tell you're in Utah County Jail, and it's all Book of Mormons. But so I decided just to grab one. I don't really know what prompted me to grab one. I still felt pretty hopeless. It was in the evening. I picked up the Book of Mormon, and I opened it at the starting page, and it talks about Joseph Smith's testimony and the testimony of the 3 witnesses. And I only read probably about 2 pages into that, and I remember this flood of just the Spirit coming back into my life. It felt almost like waves. It was that hope that came back, flooding it, and this all hit me like a tidal wave almost, but I felt that hope again. I just remembered so many things I had completely shut out of my life during the few years I had, used drugs and pushed the church away and my family away. I remembered how I grew up and the teachings I had, my parents taught me when I grew up. I remembered the experiences I've had with the Holy Ghost when I was younger. It was just that Spirit, came on me, and I remember just just crying because I felt like God had just wrapped His arms around me. And I was so undeserving of it. I was so at such a low point. I had hurt so many people. Just the fact that He'd do that, He'd be that merciful for me. That's something that will always stick with me. That's the foundation of my testimony.
He was kind of like the mission leader in jail and initiated scripture study. They sang hymns. He had gospel discussions with people.
From that point on, I read scriptures every day and prayed every day, and I haven't stopped that, even though I've had highs and lows in jail.
There was one day that I visited and felt really, I felt really prompted. I just need to get down and see Ammon. And when I visited him that day, he said how much he just said, "Bishop, I'm so glad you're here. I was praying that you would come. I'm just having a hard time." And so it wasn't all just a straight path. There were rocky moments.
Slowly over time, I could see myself changing as I kept asking forgiveness and I kept trying and trying. I slowly started to catch myself and stop swearing. It's just been the number one reason that I've changed. It's that light and that Spirit that I felt. My jail experience, I'd say the biggest thing it does for me is giving me time to think and giving me a time away from escape routes. In jail, you don't have any escape. You don't have any escape through drugs. You don't have any escape through changing your environment. You have to live with yourself here, and so I think that's probably the biggest benefit about jail. I ended up getting moved to the kitchen to be a trustee, and then they moved everyone in the kitchen over to the annex. As a trustee, we do all the meals for people, so at about 10 o'clock every day, we'll go over to the main jail, from the annex to the main jail.
That's chicken fried steak. That's delicious. Yummy.
That's another thing I remember about coming out of the main jail, is that just how good fresh air it felt. Just being able to come outside and breathe in fresh air felt great. I was trustee in here in the annex for a while, and the head guard came up and asked me, he said, "We need someone we can trust out in the garden. Will you be the water boy?" They have a big garden outside. It's probably about 6 acres. They had all sorts of things growing, corn and melons and everything. And so I was like, yeah, you know, I can do that.
The good thing about Ammon is he is able to get out in the garden, think about the things that he's done, take responsibility for some things, and prove his life a little bit out there. There's something therapeutic about running a garden, putting your hands in the dirt, and seeing the crops grow.
We are headed down to the Utah County Jail to pick up our son, who's been there for a year and almost a half.
How are you feeling about it all today?
Very happy.
Is this the only thing you need back here? All right. What's that?
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Natural.
Appreciate it. I'll get a final on it. Feels a little surreal right now. I don't know, I'm sure reality will sink in a couple of weeks.
So what plans do you have, Ammon? Have you thought of...
Have I thought about it? Are you kidding me? I've been in jail for a year and a half. Of course I've thought about it. No, actually I don't, I just want to hang out with the family. Whatever the family's doing, I want to do. I do want to stop at Burger King eventually, though. Not right now, but sometime in the near future. I've been craving one of those for months,
Yeah, why Burger King?
years. It tastes delicious. Best thing I've ever had, maybe. Definitely the best hamburger I've ever had.
There's one.
Oh, look, yellow ribbons for me. Woo. Oh wow, everybody's welcoming me. You see these yellow balloons and ribbons everywhere, Dad? What is it, some sort of holiday or something? What's that? Is it some sort of holiday, the yellow? Oh, are they really for me? Wow.
Drive around the block so you can see them.
Oh my gosh.
There's
No way.
Did you guys do all this?
Nope.
That is so cool.